You ready? Well, it's opening week for us, and it's an exciting time. It's also a time of we're seeing increased uncertainty around the country with not only our sport but a lot of sports. And we've had, I don't know, 7 or 8 teams that have had to pull out of meets. We were the victim of that, but fortunately, we were able to get Centenary to come in and keep us from having to lose a meet, which was the biggest thing for me, was to make sure we maintain the ability to compete, because it's time to compete. We need to get out there and see where we are. You can reach a point in training where it becomes so monotonous and so repetitive that you start to lose a little of the edge, and I think we're there. And so we need to get in front of our fans and put something out there. And then we were just real grateful that Centenary was able to, on a moment's notice, come in and give us an opponent. It's a little it's a different level of opponent. They're not, they're a Division II or school, but at the same time, it puts somebody on the floor across from us and gives us that sense of competition that we really desperately need to get going right now.
Questions for Coach? Have you been on the floor other than 101?
No, that's something that at another time I'm going to try to get us at least another opportunity or two in the fall. I'd like to find a way for us to get a little bit more experience in the fall. I realize that that's primarily dedicated to basketball, and we don't have a huge need to be over here often because we don't want to be on hard surfaces all the time. But to get another opportunity or two during the fall would be good in the future, and we'll address that in the spring sometime.
Why 5:45?
TV. The SEC Network picked it up, and when it was West Virginia, and then they stayed on it. So it's a 6 o'clock first vault, but 5:45 is when intros will begin. I don't think I'd like to really get that word out a lot, because I'm not sure that that's been pushed enough for people that are aware of that to be in the start time. So I don't like it any more than you do. I mean, I think it's a tough time to get everybody out. And one of the things with our fan demographic is people with young kids, and you got to get off work and get them fed and get them there. But at the same time, we hope that being the first meet of the year and first chance for everybody to kind of see us do our thing fully for the first time, that we'll have a good crowd, I hope.
Kind of give us a snapshot of this year's team. Obviously, we know a lot of the players and kind of what to expect, some of the new additions, how your new coach is working out, et cetera.
The staff is probably the biggest thing. Obviously, a lot was made of. We got 5 seniors that returned from last year. A couple of them have vastly diminished roles just because of physically where their bodies are and what their bodies will tolerate at this stage of the game for them. But the new staff is where the biggest difference has been. Courtney and Garrett Griffith was able to bring them back from. I say back. They're new to everybody here. They're not new to me, but to get them from Utah was a real coup in my mind, to be able to bring them in. They add a lot of youth and energy and a lot of new ideas. Since I last worked with them 10 years ago, they've been several places and come up with a lot of their own ideas. And so it's good for this old dude that kind of has his way of doing things to hear fresh ideas. I don't rubber stamp everything, but it's great to have that stimulus in the room and to have ideas on how to do things. And so we've got a very complete, energetic, creative staff, highly organized group of people that are doing a great job. It's showing up in our recruiting already with the verbal commitments that we've gotten for 23, which right now is going to be maybe on paper the best class ever signed here. There's lots of great things going on. We have all 4 coaches in the gym every single day. Courtney is on floor. She is exclusively our floor coach, lock, stock, and barrel from choreography all the way through. Garrett coaches vault for us. Bugs is still on beam. I'm on bars, but the nice part is that Garrett can come over and spell me on a day where we're not vaulting heavy, and I can get my eyes on some of the things that are going on the other events. And I think that it's really been a good fit, and I think the kids had to go through some adjustments because we amped up some things that we had not done in the past, and I didn't want to make those changes last year when we were kind of in lockdown, you know, in terms of the way they were having to live. I didn't want to add a lot of those things to us, but we revamped our conditioning program. We've done some things with this staff that we had not done before, and it's been good.
Coach, what are usually your first expectations for the first meet of the season?
Well, it's really centered around, for me, it's more centered around our own performance. I don't know what scores are going to look like. You never know that year over year. You never know what the judges, they go through their own educational process in the off season, and any rule changes that are there. There are years where judges around the country open up really tight and scores stay kind of tamped down, and then there's years where they let them fly. And I have no idea what this year is going to look like. So mainly what we talk about is just our own performance level. Are we at or near where what we see in the gym? It's obviously a change of venue. It's obviously a change of surface, and so there's going to be those nuanced differences in terms of what they do. I don't expect them to be exactly what they are in the gym on the first competition, but I expect them to be in the ballpark. And so we will judge that based on the number of routines we hit. Always we want to, our goal and our intention is to hit all 24 routines. If we can do that, then we're going to win more meets than we lose for sure. But that's my expectation, and to not, particularly in this circumstance where we've had two opponents change. Initially, this meet was supposed to be Cal Berkeley. They swapped out 6 months ago. They opted out, said they had COVID travel protocols still in place, that they were going to have to bail on us. I'm not sure that I totally understood it, but so I got West Virginia to come in, and that's been a change. So we've had to change gears a few times, and the challenge for us is, we're going to be a great team. We can't compete to the level of what our competition is. That's what I'm looking for here, is that we compete to our level, with the understanding that every time we set foot on the floor, we're competing against the entire country. And it's not just about the team that's across the way from us and whether they're pushing us to be our best or not. We've got to measure up to our own measuring stick, and that's what I'll be using to sort of evaluate this meet.
Any more questions for Coach? One more with Michael.
Yeah.
Any new anchors?
Let's see. We'll keep Kaya on vault. Let's see, on bars right now, it's still Sammy, but Alona has a new routine that potentially could move her from 5 to 6, just because I'm not going to do that routine unless I know the first 5 have hit. It's a much more difficult routine. It's a very exciting routine to watch. It's world-class uneven bars that I think will separate her. We won't see that in the first couple of meets, but there's a good chance we'll plug it in later. I don't know what beam's going to look like. Reagan Campbell is finally back to a place where she's doing really well, but at the same time, we've introduced some new gymnasts. So I don't know exactly what the lineup makeup's going to look like. I think you can see beam and floor change the most over the next couple of weeks, and there may be some experimentation going with trying to figure out what the best fit is. At one point, we thought we were going to move Christina Desiderio out of the first spot and move her deeper in the lineup, but you know, I'm kind of back to dance with the one that brung you now. She's so steady in that spot, first up on balance beam, so we're probably going to leave her there. Bridget Dean might be a new anchor on beam. We'll just see. We'll see how that goes. I have not had. We'll make our final lineup decisions this afternoon after practice. Floor, it'll be Haley as the number 6 right now, and when Kaya comes back, my guess is that we'll probably slide her in there and drop Haley down to 5th. Kaya's fine. We're dealing with the same issue that we've been dealing with, that Achilles. We just have to nurse it and manage it, and so having her ready early in the season on floor doesn't make sense. The risk reward's just too much. So our target date is to try to have her ready for the all-around by Auburn here, and that would put her in the all-around the next week at Florida, and then maybe we could pull back and rest her a little bit and get her ready for the postseason.
Anyone unhealthy?
No, I mean, we've had little things. We've had some respiratory issues that were not COVID related. We had a big flu bug thing came through us right around 101. Some people have struggled with getting their endurance back. We've got things. I mean, Sarah Edwards nurses her ankle. I've already mentioned Kaya's Achilles. We've got little things that are chronic, that are not really new, but may affect whether somebody's in a lineup or not. But There's nothing out of the ordinary right now, knock on wood. We just got COVID tested again this morning, so we're hopeful that everything comes back good and we're ready to go.
Would you categorize this year as a step-up year for you guys? Kind of a lot of talented girls had their first crack at it last year. Now it's time to crystallize this thing.
You know, in a perfect world, I would. I think here's the thing I'm looking for from our team. We've got physical talent enough. What I need to see more of from them and what I keep challenging them with, who is the one or the group of people that stands up and pounds their chest and says, it starts and ends with me? Who's the group of people or the one that's gonna take charge? And we don't have behavioral issues on this team. We don't have things that people need to be barked at or yelled at, but we do have things that in gym, in practice, day in and day out, things can get flat. And when they do, who's the one that kind of brings everybody up? I heard Kim talking about she wants to coach those athletes that make everybody around them better. I think every coach wants that, and that's where I'm not sure where that's coming from yet, from a leadership standpoint. We got great leaders in terms of people that set the pace and set an example and go about their business. But I have yet to see a consistency, a coalescing around a person or a group of people on our team that really kind of sets the pace, and a lot of it still has to come from us as coaches. That's a concern for me right now. I would like to say I think we have the talent to make it a step-up year. I think we're in the conversation. Obviously, our colleagues see us that way, and so we're a talented enough group, and we're a nice group. They're really nice kids, and they love each other to death. I want to know who the alpha is. I don't know that we have seen that yet, and who's sort of setting the tone of what the identity of this team's going to be, and that's where we're. And I'm hopeful that the competition will generate that. I think sometimes, you heard me say we need to compete. That's part of the reason we need to compete, because we need to see what we are, and then walk back in the room and then address what we're not, and be able to improve in those areas. And that's one of them that I'm concerned about.
Thank you, Coach.
And that's just an honest perspective. I mean, that may come off negative, but it is what it is. Yeah, yeah.